Namaste, my dear friends. Dear friends, in the last class, we referred by discussing elaborately the concept of exempted supply of services. And prior to that, we referred exempted supply of goods under the GST. We are halfway through of discussing government sector. In the last class, I referred if the supplier is a government or local authority, provide these services not covered under Article 243G, not covered under Article 243W, and also we provide these services which is not provided as acting as public authorities. If not provided acting as a public authorities, such services of this government or local authority not specifically exempted, then taxable. If taxable, by default reverse charge, unless specifically identified and said is a forward charge. There are specifically identified and said the forward charge with the amended provision here. Dear friends, if you refer this forward charge, if the Indian Postal Department provide the services which is not exempted, whatever service provided by the Indian Postal Department is forward charge. Indian Railways now added here from 20th October 2023 by way of amendment, wherein Indian Railways provide these services by default forward charge, specifically stated, unless there is a specific exemption for it. Except these two central government departments, remaining all government provide these services or local authority provide services by default will attract the reverse charge if it is not a forward charge. Now coming to the point here, furthermore points specifically mentioned as a forward charge. If the service rendered by government or local authority in relation to an aircraft or vessel within the port or airport of a precinct or not, as the case may be, it is forward charge. Transportation of goods or passenger services offered by the central government, state government or unitary or local authority as a whole government or local authority is a forward charge unless specifically qualified for exemption. Forward charge only it is. And the last but not the least here, the supplier being a government or local authority provide the services of renting of immovable property to an unregistered person, forward charge. Registered person, it is not coming in a forward charge. What is not a forward charge? By default reverse charge, provided it should not be qualified specifically exemption. Here I would like to bring to notice the importance of supplier of government. Supplier is a government local authority. Here if you refer on the screen, very clearly you have mentioned Indian Postal Department, Indian Railways. So here I would like to bring to notice, need to have some clarification here with regard to forward charge or reverse charge. I am not referring any exempt supply here. If it is exempted, question of forward charge, reverse charge doesn't arise. That you are aware of that. So I am presenting here with one example. Example 1. See here, supplier, Indian Railways. Supplier is Indian Railways. Now, recipient, Mrs. Raj and Raj Company. What is they supplied? Renting of immovable property Absolutely for commercial. For commercial. Now here Raj is two categories. One is case 1. Case 1. He is unregistered person. Case 2. Registered person. Indian Railways, Government of India only. Renting a home property for commercial purposes. Let us say, now present scenario, after 26th of October. Yeah, this was 20th of October. No? This amendment introduced here from 20th of October. So, from this perspective, we refer here renting a home property. Let us say here, they are giving with effect from 1st April 2024. They give the renting purpose. In the given case, this supply, case 1 is a forward charge or reverse charge. Case 1 is a forward charge or reverse charge? Forward charge. Very good. Forward charge. In the case 2, if the recipient is a registered person, in that case, forward charge, reverse charge. Who is supplier? Indian Railways. Understand, government, there are so many people. Indian Railways, Ministry, Defense, HRD Ministry, Telecommunication Ministry. There are so many. GST Department, Income Tax Department. There are so many. Specifically said, Indian Railways provide the services. Specifically said, Indian Postal Department provide the services, which is not exempted irrespective of the recipient status. It is forward charge. That's what the important amendment here. Why otherwise they mentioned here separately, not required to mention? No, this point not required to mention. This point not required to mention otherwise. Government provide the services. Forward charge they will say otherwise. They specifically said, if the government provide the services, namely Department of Post, namely Indian Railways, in that case, whatever they provide the services, my dear friends, forward charge, irrespective of the recipient status, is an amended provision from 20th October 2023 onwards. They added, along with earlier there was this status is applicable only for Postal Department. Now it is also be extended to Indian Railways. In railway stations and all, there are so many vendors. You are aware of that or not? Their shops are available. Cool drink shops, the snacks shop, otherwise the hotels are available inside of the campus of the Indian the railway stations. Bookstores are available. Toy shop available inside. So, irrespective of the recipient status, if supplier is Indian Railways or otherwise Indian Postal Department, as the case may be, provide these services which is not qualified specifically under exemption is a forward charge only. Therefore, the recipient status, irrespective of the recipient status, is a forward charge. Recipient may be registered person or unregistered person, as the case may be. Now you got the clarity, Amma. Instead of Indian Railways, if I say instead of Indian Railways, my dear, Indian Postal Department, same scenario, my dear, there won't be any change at all. Same scenario. Suppose, sir, it is not a Indian Railways, it is not Indian Postal Department, sir, neither Indian Railways nor Indian Postal Department. Supplier, for example, government department, sir. For example, GST department, sir. GST department has a 7-floor building, sir. 6 floors fully occupied by GST department, sir. It is owned by GST department, Government of India, or state government, as the case may be, state SGST. And 1 floor only they let out for commercial purposes, sir. In that case, if the recipient is a registered person, RCM apply. If the recipient is an unregistered person, then only GST department, being a supplier, liable to pay GST under forward charge. If the supplier is a local authority here, in that case also, recipient is an unregistered person. In the case of immovable property letter for commercial purposes, recipient unregistered person, local authority supplier, liable to pay GST under forward charge. If the recipient is a registered person, by default goes to RCM, recipient only liable to pay GST in the given case. When the supplier is a local authority, recipient is a registered person for the service rendered of renting of immovable property. With this clarity, now let's look into the subject matter. What are the services which are qualified for exemption, sir? If government is a supplier, local authority is a supplier, government is a supplier, local authority is a supplier. If that is the case, what are the services are exempted, sir? Which I am presenting here one by one. Supplier of service, government or local authority. That is constant for all my examples. Supplier only government. Supplier is a local authority. If they provide the services, which is not covering under Article 243G, not covered Article 240W, also be not specifically notified as acting as a public authorities, not specifically notified. Purest form of taxable supply. Specifically exempted by way of notification, then no GST, no forward charge, reverse charge. What are those specified exemptions? Are as follows. Now, first and foremost, supply of services by government and local authority, services supplied to business entity. One should know who is a business entity. Other than unregistered individual is a business entity. Take into granted, my dear friends. You may not be directly come across meaning for this in dictionary. Business entity under GST law, other than unregistered individual, whatever name you call them, is a business entity. Mr. Rafi, unregistered individual, not a business entity. Rafi and Associates, sole proprietor. Mr. Rafi only the sole proprietor. But Rafi and Associates, which is not a individual first of all, is a sole proprietor concern, And second step, here that particular Rafi and Associates, in which sole proprietor may be individual, Rafi and Associates called as business entity. HUF business entity, AOP BOI business entity, partnership firm registered unregistered business entity. Even Rafi and Associates may be unregistered person, but not an individual, therefore business entity. What is not a business entity? Two conditions should satisfy. Recipient should be individual and his status is unregistered person. Suppose Mr. Rafi, in the name of Rafi, he registered Rafi sir IDT Guru, a registered person in GST law, individual only, individual, Rafi sir IDT Guru. In that case, as an individual, but I am a registered person, na? Therefore, Rafi sir IDT Guru, business entity. Who is not a business entity? Two conditions. Speak out, please. Very important, my dear. You have to speak out. Open your voice. Speak out. All of them participate. Don't shy. It should be unregistered person. Other one is individual. These two goes hand in hand, which is not a business entity. Now coming here. If the government provides these services, local authority provides the services to the business entity whose aggregate turnover in the preceding financial year does not exceed the threshold limit for registration in the preceding financial year only, does not exceed the threshold limit for registration. In the case of a only taxable supply of goods, it is 40 lakhs. If taxable goods and as well as services, 20 lakhs, only services, 20 lakhs, only for few states. In the case of Manipur, Mizoram, Nagaland, these four states are considered. The irrespective of your tax supply of goods or services, it is only 10 lakhs, threshold limit prescribed. Have you crossed that limit? No, sir. In that case, such services offered by central government, state government to business entity in the current year qualify for an exemption. See here. But it should not be a forward charge, my dear. It should not be a forward charge. Recipient should be business entity whose aggregate turnover in the preceding financial year not exceeded the threshold limit for registration. To them, supplier of service, business entity, government or local authority provide the services, then it is qualified for exemption. If the recipient is a business entity, supplier is a local authority or government, specifically notified under forward charge. Forward charge means irrespective of the recipient status, who liable to pay? Supplier liable to pay, my dear. If the forward charge comes into picture, recipient status immaterial. Forward charge comes into picture, supplier only liable to pay GST when the recipient may be a registered person, may be a registered person, may be a business entity, not a business entity, immaterial for me. Forward charge comes into picture. Exemption is not applicable unless specifically mentioned exemption for a supplier of service, namely forward charge not applicable case. That is only in the case of exemption. Just now don't know, Indian Post Department provide the services of envelope services, card services, postal card services. That time specifically exemption is there. For Indian Railways, forward charge. If they produce forward charge, specifically exemption is there. Somewhere else, I will refer that now. If the service is offered by the Indian Railways by transport of passengers in an ordinary coach, namely other than first class or AC, In that case, the transportation of passenger services by the Indian Railways is specifically exempted. Therefore, in the hands of supplier, not liable to pay GST. That's all. Likewise, service offered by central government, state government, or unitary or the local authority, being a government or local authority, in relation to an vessel inside or outside the precinct of an airport, forward charge. Supplier only liable to pay GST. No exemption at all. Service in relation to vessel inside or outside of the precinct of an airport, attract the GST forward charge. If the forward charge comes into picture, supplier liable to pay GST. Recipient is a business entity, recipient is not a business entity, immaterial, unless specifically exempted its service. Further, transportation of goods or passengers taxable under forward charge, unless it is specifically exempted, is a forward charge. Further, renting of immovable property to unregistered person under the forward charge, taxable. When you come to the Indian Railways, when you refer the Postal Department, if they let out their property for commercial purposes, recipient state is immaterial. Indian Railways or Postal Department being a supplier of that services liable to pay GST. Other than the Indian Railways, other than the Postal Department being a government, provide the service of letting of immovable property for commercial purposes to an unregistered person, then forward charge. To a registered person, reverse charge. Now coming to this point, supply of services by state government, central government, and unitary as a whole government or local authority provide these services to business entity. In that case, the recipient business entity turnover in the preceding financial year not exceeded threshold limit for registration. In that case, the given supply of the government or local authority is exempted. That time, if exempted, then not a forward charge, not a reverse charge. Look here, police, state police, providing security services to whom? To business entity. It may be club, corporation, LLP, or what we can call here partnership firm, sole trader, cooperative societies, whatnot. What is not a business entity? Unregistered individual, but is a business entity. If provide the services, what types of provided here? Security service supplied. Aggregate turnover in the previous year of the business entity does not exceed the threshold limit for registration. In the current year, if the government provides these services to such business entity, absolutely qualify from exemption, exempted supply. State police is a government, state government being a supplier. Further, dear friends, furthermore referring here, suppose if the business entity turnover in the previous year rupees 80 lakh, in case supplier is a government, recipient is a business entity, previous turnover is 80 lakhs, for example. In that case, it is taxable. Who is liable to pay tax? Excellent. Hats off to the answer. RCM. That's spirit required. Why? Sir, it is not specifically stated as a forward charge, sir. Forward charge means we know, sir, supplier of services are one, the postal department to Indian Railways. Second category, sir, the supply services by government local authority in relation to aircraft or vessels, sir. Third category, transport of goods or services, sir. Fourth one, renting of human property to ownership, sir. Only 4 are covered under forward charge, sir. This is a security services, sir, which is not covered under this 4, sir. Therefore, taxable under RCM by default. This is what the one required. Government sector is a very big sector, my dear, to bring into the taxation purview of the GST law. Further, my dear, first point now covered here. Second point covering supplier of goods or supplier of services, not goods, supplier of services by government or local authority to government or local authority to another government or local authority also be exempted, provided it should be other than forward charge. Government to government, local authority to local authority, or government to local authority to government, as the case may be, such a supply is absolutely free from GST, provided it should not be a forward charge. What do you mean this? How to understand this? Look here, my dear son. First step you take. One step you take first. Step 1. Central government provide the services to state government, exempted. Or municipality provide services to corporation, local authority, exempted. Or municipality to central government, exempted. Central government to municipality, exempted. Corporation to state government to corporation. Or municipality to state government, state corporation to central government, as the case may be, as a whole, as the case may be, is exempted. But it should be a supply other than forward charge. It should not be Indian Railways. It should not be Indian Postal Department. Example, Indian Postal Department provide the services to Union Home Ministry. What service provided? Indian Postal Department provide the speed post services. Speed post want to send by Union Home Ministry newly qualified IPS officers appointment letters by speed post. Indian government, Union of this Union Home Ministry is sending the appointment letter to IPS officers, newly qualified persons, by taking the help of Indian Postal Department sending the appointment letters. Indian Postal Department provides the speed post services to whom? To Union Home Ministry, to government. Government to government. But is what type of services? Forward charge, reverse charge? Speak out. Forward charge. Therefore, government to government, since the forward charge attract the GST, Indian Postal Department liable to pay GST. Only envelope card, postcard, that point I referred, no, only 4 points, that alone exempted. Speed post taxable, ratio post taxable. Inland letter not exempted. If exempted, question of forward charge does not arise. Now please come back. For the sake of discussion, Indian Postal Department provides the services, inland letter card services, inland letter card services. To whom? To TCS company, exempted. To Mr. Rafi, exempted. Is to whoever may be, recipient may be any person supplied by Indian Postal Department which is specifically exempted. As you are aware of that, what is exempted here? Very clearly I said to you, for revision I am presenting here. Furthermore, service by Department of Post by way of postcard, inland letter card, book post, ordinary post. Book post, ordinary post is considered. The envelopes weight less than 10 grams. Envelope post, no, something one is to earlier when I was student, I am talking about 1992, 93. From Chennai, I used to write a letter to my father because staying in hostel and all, lonely feeling sometimes, I used to write a letter to my father and mother. All my difficulties what I am facing, I am going on writing. First page, second page, third page. My friends used to say, hey, you concentrate this in the examination to write the exam, you qualify. So, my friends, because my friends know, hey, so many letters you are writing, so much bunch of papers, concentrate writing the examination, you qualify first time itself. They used to comment on me. I used to write 4 or 5 pages, all folding into, putting in a particular cover, envelope cover. That weight should be less than 10 grams. Then only qualify exemption now. Now who writing that envelopes? But the new generation do not know what is the inland letter. All they talking about Instagram, Twitter, that and this. But anyhow, this only qualify exemption. Come back. So government to government or local authority or vice versa, any service qualify for example, my dear, here if there I will refer to you. I will give an example. Same Indian Postal Department, the police department, government, government. If they provide the service, supply services to recipient, security services, to whom they provided? To High Court. Security provided by police, state police to High Court. High Court is a government. Constitutional body it is, authority. High Court. If so, the Indian police, the state police supplier being a government to government. What type of services? Security services, which is not a forward charge. Therefore, for doing so, High Court paying the fees to the supplier. Let us say fee paid 2 lakh rupees. Court fee, the security fees paid 2 lakh rupees. Absolutely exempted. Government to government. Exempted. Reason is not a forward charge. Sorry to say here, it is. I will say here. Government is a state police supplier, provide services to recipient. Recipient is High Court. Then the fees paid to them 2 lakh, clearly exempted from the payment of the GST. Further, my dear friends, now referring here point number 3. This point number 3 I am referring. Where the consideration for supply of service does not exceed rupees 5,000, which is other than forward charge, exempted. Provided further that in case where continuous supply of service, the exemption shall apply only where the consideration charged for such services does not exceed rupees 5,000 in a financial year. How to understand? Simple, my dear. See here, you take one example. Supplier, RTO, road transport officer, is state government. Now they provide the services. Driving license, supply services. To whom? To to Mrs. X Limited, where X Limited, Mr. X, driver of Mrs. X Limited. X Limited, there his employee, Mr. X, who went for driving license purpose. Company is paying the amount. Who is the recipient of service? Who paid the consideration? Who paid the consideration? X Limited. X Limited is business entity. Is a business entity. Now, what is driving fees? Fee is, let us say, 2,750 paid this fees to supplier. Now in the given case, business entity is a recipient. Is it not a forward charge? Is a reverse charge? If it's a reverse charge, business entity turnover how much? Previous year turnover is 120 lakhs, means more than threshold for registration. Now in the given case, recipient liable to pay GST, but for a small amount, recipient why should pay GST? If the amount of the consideration less than or equal to rupees 5,000, business entity being a recipient not liable to pay, exempted. How much is the fees here? Only 2,750, less than or equal to 5,000, not liable to pay GST. This is exempted. This is exempted. Where the supplier is a state government, recipient business entity. Suppose if the fee instead of 2,750, for example, 5,100 is the fee, license fee, driving license fee. In that case, more than rupees 5,000. Who liable to pay GST? Business entity. Where is it taxable? RCM apply. Taxable. The fee RCM apply. Business is liable to pay GST. In that case, if the business entity says, sir, who said my turnover is 120 lakhs? No, sir. Previous year my turnover 0, sir. How 0? How 0? I incorporated in the current year only. In the previous year, not there. I am not existed. In that case, since the previous year aggregate turnover not at all exceeded the threshold limit for registration, in the given case, the supply of services, whatever may be the services other than the forward charge, since the recipient is a business entity whose aggregate turnover not exceed threshold limit for registration, resultantly not liable to pay GST, where it is qualified for an exemption. First point I referred now. In the given case, first point I referred now, my dear. First point. Here it will fall. In this category, you are going to fall. You are going to fall here. First point, a business entity with an aggregate turnover up to the threshold limit for registration, other than the forward charge. It is not a forward charge, no? Driving license fees, not a forward charge. Is it? If and if reverse charge. But business entity says that my turnover in the previous year 0 because I incorporated in current year. In that case, this entire 5,100 now became exempted. Then question of RCM does not arise. Further, my dear friends, referring here for your kind consideration, provided further that in case where the continuous supply of services, the exemption shall apply only where the consideration charged for the services provided not exceeding rupees 5,000 in a financial year. That means what? It should be a continuous supply of service. We have a definition with regard to continuous supply of services, which says that a service taken the time to complete for a period more than 3 months is called continuous supply of services. If so, in a financial year, in case of continuous supply of services where the value does not exceed rupees 5,000, that is exempted even though overall such value of supply of services may be more than 5,000. How to understand this simple example, my dear? A simple example I am presenting here for your kind consideration. Look here. In the given case, security services provided by government security agency for a period of 4 months for a total consumption of rupees 8,000. 4 months continuously provided, therefore continuous supply of service more than 3 months, value is 8,000, more than 5,000. But what happened? It commenced from January 23, part payment 1,000, February 23, part payment 1,000, March 23, part payment 2,000. Total in that financial year, how much? 4,000. 4,000, yes, 4,000. In the next financial year, April, final payment they given only 2,000. That means totally here 6,000. Concession for 8,000, but they decide for rupees, maybe negotiation taking place, we do not know. So totally here in a financial year 2023, in case of continuous supply of services, in a financial year, not exceed rupees 5,000, not exceed rupees 5,000, is only 4,000. Resultantly, it is qualified from exemption. Of course, next financial year is only rupees 2,000 exempt, even the overall consideration has been finalized to 6,000. Is more than 5,000. So what? Is the way in which we have to understand the in a financial year concession not exceed rupees 5,000 in case of continuous supply of services also qualify from exemption even though the overall consideration may be exceed 5,000. Further, my dear sir, point number 4 here I am referring, exemption, where the supplier is a government, supplier is a local authority. In that case, services provided to operate as a telecom service provider or use radio frequency spectrum during a period prior to the 1st April 2016. The word is important. Prior to 1st April 2016 on payment of license fee or spectrum user charges as the case may be. What do you mean this, my dear sir? The GST introduced in India itself from 1st July 2017 onwards. Prior to the 1st July 2017, there was service tax law, and that service tax not applicable prior to 1st April 2016 for a given supply of services allotment of spectrum by telecom ministry to telecom operators. What is the spectrum? The space in the satellite to use for telecommunication purposes. In that case, prior to 1st April 2016, such allotment of license by telecom ministry to telecom operators was exempted under the service tax law. That time license has been allotted by granting the license for 5 years and agreed to pay every year a particular amount installment. In that case, allotment of the license prior to 1/4/2016, that time service tax was exempted. From 1st April 2016, service tax levy on such license came into force. That time service tax law says that since the license was allotted prior to 1st April 2016, that is was exempted, that exemption is continued to apply even after 1st April 2016 for those licenses which was allotted prior to 1st April 16. Now, on 1st July 2017, GST law came. GST has to be exempted for those licenses which was allotted prior to 1st April 2016, even though the payment installment due may be going to be paid after 1/7/2017. So, the exemption is continued only for some time only it is. If it's a 10 years license means 10 years. That license once over is over. On or after 1st April 2016, any license has been provided towards telecom operators. In that case, it was attached service tax. It also attached GST law. This is only for a peculiar case. That time there was exemption from service tax for the license, which is continued in the service tax. Also, we continue in the GST law. That is what this exemption, nothing else. Further, point number 5, services by way of grant of registration required under any law for the time being in force. Registration required under law, required means mandatory. Accordingly, license has been obtained by the recipient, supplies the government authority. If so, exempted. For example, nowadays a new education policy came. Bill has been drafted and almost going to be become an act. Education policy for women, for private institutions, to Rafi Academy, to X Academy, to Y Academy, like that. What is that? All the education institutions, private institutions should get registered, get license. Therefore, is required under law. Rafi Academy paid license fee and obtained the license, which is supplied by state government to Rafi Academy. License fee mandatory under the law, then qualify from exemption. Not a mandatory, sir. I am running a factory, sir. For my factory, registration of the Factories Act not required, sir. In spite of that, voluntarily applied for the want of license and paid the fees. That under the GST. Required under law, exempted. Not required under the law, you paid the fees voluntarily to have taxable. Further, continuation of this, service by way of testing, calibration, safety check, certification relating to protection of or safety of workers, consumer or public at large, including fine license, required under law here also, means mandatory under law. Thereby I am going to pay the fees, which is qualified from exemption. Further, services by way of passport, visa, driving license, birth certificate, death certificate, fees, which is collected by the government, state government, local authorities. Birth certificate, death certificate, providing local authorities by charging the fees, absolutely free from GST. Further, services by way of grant of national permit granted by RTOs, the fees absolutely free from GST. National permit for to whom it is granted exemption means services by of grant of national permit to a goods carriage to operate throughout India. That fees are contiguous states. What do you mean by contiguous states? I already referred to you under the place of supply chapter. Boundaries of two states joining place, contiguous states. Tamil Nadu closely joined with the boundary with the Kerala. That boundary place, that particular uh, demarcation, division of land, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, that exact place is called contiguous state. So, movement of all over India, permission for cargoes, particular cargo means what? The goods carriage vehicles, national permit exempted. What about national permit for passenger vehicles? What is the fees? Less than equal to 5,000 exempted. Or recipient to a business entity whose aggregate do not exceed the threshold limit for registration exempted. Or services to whom it is, sir, it is to unregistered individuals, sir, not a business entity, not going to attack the GST at all. If it is not a business entity, then fees you have to see rupees 5,000 or less than 5,000. Less than 5 rupees, sir, national permit for passenger vehicle exempted. For cargo vehicles, irrespective of the value, exempted. Even though the recipient being business entity turnover may be more than 100 lakhs in the previous year. So what? Exempted, because specifically mentioned exemption here. Further, my dear friends, supply of services by way of tolerating non-performance of a contract. Tolerating non-performance of a contract. Is it tolerating carefully? Tolerating of what? Tolerating of non-performance. How to understand this? Carefully listen my simple example and answer it. I am Kamal Builders. My name is Kamal Builders. I have undertaken to provide laying of road to BMC, Bombay Municipal Corporation. Bombay Municipal Corporation said, hey Mr. Kamal Builders, we are allotting you laying of road for public. Contract value 1,000 crores. Complete the job latest by 31st March 2024 is a target. If you not completed, you quit after taking the assignment, you have to pay compensation to Bombay Municipal Corporation, 2 crores. If you completed the work belatedly, instead of 31st March 2024, instead of completing that, if you complete after that period, then you have to pay delay in completion fees rupees 50,000 is a terms of the contract. Non-completion of the project, if you are going to quit before completion, compensation you have to pay 2 crores to Bombay Municipal Corporation. If you completed belatedly, you have to pay compensation to department. How much I said? Just now I said number 50,000. 50,000 compensation you have to pay if you delay in completion. Now, in the given case, what type of service it is? Laying of road. What is the consideration? 1,000 crores. Who is the supplier? Kamal builder, any person. To whom provide the services? To local authority. What type of services? Pure labor services. Or there may be the material involved, not exceeding 25% of the value of the contract, which is absolutely covered under the clutches of Article 243G or Article 240W of the Constitution of India. Resultantly, Kamal builders supplying the services to Bombay Municipal Corporation BMC, entire 1,000 crores consideration exempted from the payment of the GST. Now, Kamal said, yeah, not possible for me to complete. So many hurdles are coming. Manpower not there, manpower there, material not there, material there, manpower there. Then permission not granting because there is some slum areas are occupied that particular public road. So difficult for me. I cannot able to complete. Bombay Municipal Corporation, take your contract back. Sorry, I could not able to complete. I am going to my hometown to take rest. Like that, Kamal builders said and required to pay compensation. How much? 2 crores. You take 2 crores also, peace of mind I want. Therefore, Kamal builders paid 2 crores to Bombay Municipal Corporation. Now, Bombay Municipal Corporation received 2 crores. Bombay Municipal Corporation tolerated act of non-performance of a contract. Non-performance. Kamal builder says, for you, Onakam, take your money. I 2 crores commission I will pay. Allow me to go away. So he gone. 2 crores received by Municipal Corporation, namely Bombay Municipal Corporation. Now tell me, Bombay Municipal Corporation received 2 crores. Taxable or exempted? Taxable or exempted? Exempt because? Excellent. So you are quoting this exemption. So supplier of service, local authority, services supplied by way of tolerating of what? Non-performance of a contract. So exempted. 2 crores exempted. Second case, Kamal builder said, I am going to complete, sir, but there are so many hurdles are there, sir. In between, some unauthorized occupations are there, sir. We have to go to the court and get the permission to clear that area and before laying the road and done. And okay, on instead of 31st of March 2024, I completed the job on 30th April 2024. 1 month delay happened. Target time 31st of March 2024. Completed belatedly. BMC tolerated. Okay. Delay happened, no problem. That time, as per the contract, Kamal builders should pay rupees 50,000 to BMC. Now they paid rupees 50,000 BMC. Now BMC, Bombay Municipal Corporation, received rupees 50,000. Delay in completion. Is taxable or exempted? Rupees 50,000 delay in completion, which is paid to them. Is it tolerating non-performance of a contract? Is it so? Tolerating of what? Tolerating for non-performance of contract. Is it non-performance of a contract or a performance of contract belatedly? If so, this exemption not going to cover. Am I right, my dear friends? This exemption not going to cover. Yes or no, ma? This exemption not going to cover. This exemption will cover only when non-performance of a contract. Tolerating exempted. Here, I performed the content, man. I have not quit. Who said I quit? I completed by instead of 31st of March 2024, I completed by 30th of April 2024. 1 month delay happened. Therefore, as per terms of content, I have to pay 50 rupees. I paid 50 rupees. Now you tell me my 50,000 rupees received by BMC is a supplier. BMC liable for GST on rupees 50,000. There you are. This is not covered in the forward charge. Okay. Liable to pay GST by recipient. Think professionally. My story I explained to you, example. In that only, this is a case study. It is a case study. If I am the examiner, question paper setter, I will say definitely like that only. I am well competent to set the question paper, but they are not giving to me, saying that you are in teaching, sir, that's why we are not giving you paper setting. It's case study. Final people know you people just going to qualify like that. My dear friends, it is not a reverse charge. This delay payment charges received by the Bombay Municipal Corporation out of a main supply, correct? Main supply is what, my dear? Was contract laying the road, which is 1000 crores, I said, covered under Article 243, Article 2W, I said, thereby disqualify exemption, I said. The main supply is exempted, is accretion also be exempted. A circular of the CBIC. Main supply, no. What is the main supply? What is the main supply? Which is exempted. That I perform belatedly. Delay happened. Delay payment charges I am paying. Loan received from the government, from the bank, loan received, money received. Going to repay with the interest. Accretion on loan amount, money transaction. Accretion is interest. Money transaction not taxable. Interest also not taxable. Have I referred or not? Similar to that, we have clarification of the CBS in this regard. In case of a composite supply, the mixed supply, the main supply is exempted. Accretion thereon also be exempted. Since this particular supply is covered under the clutches of this particular category of a exempted nature, delay payment charges also be exempted only, because delay payment charges out of the main supply only. Main supply is exempted, delay payment thereon also be exempted. A clarification of the C basis. So RCM normally apply if not qualify for exemption. Since exempted, RCM not apply. Not a forward charge, RCM may apply only when not qualify exemption. Since the main supply is exempted, the Kamal builder says that my main supply is exempted, therefore the delay in payment thereon also be exempted, therefore RCM not applicable. Exempted supply it is. This is what you have to be blow your thoughts. Further, my dear friends, simply my students not going to get 80s in the examination. Benchmark manner I will say, if you come to my place, your range will be 80 plus. Otherwise, 40, 45 you will get by studying yourself. You are well educated person, you have knowledge with you, 40, 45 definitely will get in the indirect taxes. But 80s, 70 should cross. Thereby 20 marks surplus should be have from indirect taxes. That will be leads to you to qualify the examination without any aggregate problem. You may be aware of that. There in my website, Rafi Academy website, when you feel free, just go to the gallery. My students, all India first rank, John Bitro, 91 marks in IDT, first rank holder. And one more student, Krishna Jayendra, all India 11th rank. How many marks he got in IDT? 97 marks. But Rafi sir not going to promote. Vilambram Tarama Kuruka Matarivari. My students are my brand ambassadors for my classes. 97 marks, my dear, in IDT, left her only 3 marks. All India 11th rank, and he received Best Paper Presentation Award for the indirect taxes from the CA Institute, which is there in my website. Go ahead, my interview with my beloved students. How you studied, how you prepared, how many times you revised, how you quote the section wherever required to quote, how you presented, tell us. Thereby, our friends, your juniors, who are best brains, may going to get more than 97 marks, because still 3 marks are left over. Nah? This is what the way of approach of our class. Now please come back, my dear friends. Further referring here, services supplied by government or locality by way of assignment of right to use natural resources to an individual farmer or for cultivation of the plants. And rearing of all life of form of animals except rearing of horses for food, fiber, fuel or raw material or other similar product. What is required here is recipient should be individual. That individual must be a farmer. That is important to note. The person should be individual farmer. Like this here. Natural resources. Allotment of natural resources to individual farmers. But other than the rearing of horses, rearing of all type of animals, plants and all. Rearing means what? Population growth. Cow, buffaloes and all will come here. Such a national resources owned by the government allotted to individual farmers for charging some charges, absolutely free from GST. So, at this point of time, I am concluding the session today, sir. I have some other work, my personal work to go ahead. Therefore, please kindly cooperate with me. See you by tomorrow, sharply at 6 a.m. Thank you, my dear friends. Have a good day. Thank you, my friends. Thank you. Welcome, welcome, my dear friends.